Awakening Wonders, thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. It's a giddy and extraordinary world that we are living in. Prepare for peculiar times, they tell me. Already you can feel the rising of the tides of chaos as the campaigning reaches a near hysterical level. Outrageous claims are being made. The information space is being controlled. If you're watching this anywhere other than Rumble, will only be available there for the first 15 minutes. YouTube, of course, is a curtailed, controlled and curated space that yields to corporatism because it must, because it has to, because as George Carlin says, the interests converge. The interests of government and big tech converge at exactly that point. You will notice that it's harder and harder, let me know in the comments and chat if you agree, to find information that's anything other than blind obedience and blind fealty to systems of control and government that seem clearly to be atrophying before our very eyes, running out of ideas. I'm talking about the Democrats' campaign. That's why it's vital that you participate, if you can, in the Rescue the Republic event that's taking place this Sunday. Join me there along with the other merry inhabitants and occupants of that dinghy. Here they are in a little more detail. We will all be participating in this Rescue the Republic event in Washington. Of course, I will also be in Florida, Fort Lauderdale specifically, with Tucker Carlson to participate in one of his events. If you are an awakened wonder, I'm looking at the screen there where I see your comments, you get the opportunity to win pairs of tickets. We've already asked you a question. We asked our locals community yesterday, what was the war that Tucker regrets supporting? And 3 of you answered that question correctly. And you will, of course, be given tickets, as we've already agreed, and administrated. The campaign continues, but even CNN are finding it hard to be supportive when it comes to the Tsar's most difficult issue, the border.
The vice president has a long history, a well-documented history of really being an ally to these immigrant communities. She has 2 chapters in her book, I Say We Fight and We Are Better Than This, where she really makes a robust case for undocumented immigrants. During the Trump administration, she talked about a climate of fear. She dismissed the border wall as ineffective and a waste of resources. And even her guest at the joint session of Congress was a DACA recipient, was a dreamer. And so for her to go down there and characterize herself as tough on the border, to me, it isn't consistent with a lot of the policy positions that she previously has espoused.
Look at them sitting around trying their absolute best to be obedient, to not become cynical, as all around them the deception becomes unveiled. Surely this is a time of revelation. Many of you will have witnessed the ubiquitously available conversation between Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey, attended by a panoply, is that what you want to say, of stars. Here she is being asked about border security plans. Hopefully it's a cogent and reliable response.
What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. You know, my background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on. Okay. I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people.
I take it pretty seriously as well, and that's why I recommend you unhook your consciousness from these vile machines of toxicity, bad information, bad food, bad ideas. That's why you will love our conversation with Marty Makary, who was so instructive in helping us to understand the degree to which we're being fed bad food, almost deliberately in order to facilitate and expedite the necessity for bad medicine. It's a fantastic conversation if you're an Awaken Wonder. That will be available to you already. Thank you for subscribing. We appreciate your support. We love your support. We need your support, particularly as we come into this extraordinary part of the year where MSNBC and the legacy media will go to any lengths to ensure that the framing of a story is favourable to their audience and their overlords' intentions. In this instance, I'm talking about a recent town hall in Michigan, where workers don't seem to care too much about Jan 6. They seem to be refusing to accept the narrative that this was the worst event in human history. Let's have a look.
And talk to me about your level of interest in the criminal charges and so forth.
February 6th?
January 6th.
January 6th. So I remember that day.
Call it February 6th. I didn't even know what day it was.
I know he was the standing president. I'm not familiar with the charges that are being brought against him for that. I'm not following that charge I know there's multiple court cases going on. I'm just not familiar with it.
I mean, that doesn't sound like it's going to be a factor in deciding who to vote for.
No.
Okay, so when I say January 6th, what do you think?
Oh, I just remember seeing it on the news, like all the riots and stuff. Don't really know what it was about or what happened, though.
How did it make you feel when you saw it?
I don't know. I don't really feel any way about it. People showed their emotion, I guess. Probably in the wrong way, but it happened.
That's amazing, isn't it? To watch them almost like extraterrestrial observers on their own planet encounter ordinary people. And it's an indication of how deeply distinct and separate these information communities or ideological communities have become. Like, if you consume the media that the reporter is pushing, you would go, yeah, Jan 6, that's the worst thing that's happened since Pearl Harbor. It's the worst attack since 9/11. People died. It's disgusting. And then if you don't, like, the thing is with the saturation of all forms of media now, remember when people were astonished that CNN was a 24-hour news channel? I can still remember that. I'm old enough. And now we live in this immersive media environment. The truth is, most people don't care about what's happening on TikTok. Most people don't care about what's happening in mainstream media. Most people care. Would you agree? Let me know in the comments and chat. About our own lives. However much you care about the Diddy case and its salaciousness and how its tendrils appear to reach into every corner of Hollywood and the entertainment industry, exposing it for what it plainly is. Do you care about it as much as like your own kids and your own family and your own ability to feed yourself, or is it just some sort of glistening, glucose-covered, stinking spectacle laying across the surface of your reality? Certainly, based on what we just saw there, people don't care much about it. We just will not think what they want us to think. They want to replace our thoughts. That's what I'm noticing. Here's CNN baffled by the perspective of a potential voter on Donald Trump.
Man, and Donald Trump, he plays golf with Bryson DeChambeau. Yeah. He goes on Theo Vaughn. He talks about Zins. And, Democrats, I'm sorry, like, they haven't had a cool guy candidate in a while. And, with all due respect to Tim Walz, Tim Walz appeals to a lot of men. He also appeals to that guy, Bruce. Yeah. In Jeff's package. He's wearing a Future is Female shirt. Yeah. That guy in Madison, Wisconsin is already going to vote Democrat. Yeah. I'm sorry. How do you reach the young men?
Yeah. I wonder how you do. It doesn't seem like further berating the participants in January the 6th or telling people they were crazy to have concerns about vaccines. Think of the numerous anomalies and hypocrisies packed into that. The fact that most people that were vaccine hesitant, weren't Republicans. They were, in fact, if you were to look at various categories, for example, ethnicity, significantly drawn from African Americans or non-white Americans. Think of how the Democratic Party has to sort of tiptoe around that and continually reframe that. Wait a minute, aren't we supposed to be the party that's standing up for minorities and against white supremacy and stuff? And yet we're pushing this idea, this medicine, these mandates, this control, this sense of fear, this necessity of a vaccine program, this necessity for ubiquitous lockdowns, this necessity for citizen management, however it can be augured and promoted. It just doesn't make sense. Here is food activist Alex Clark talking about the vaccine agenda at a recent roundtable event hosted by Ron Johnson. Let's have a look at that agenda.
In 1985, newborn millennials had to follow a schedule of just a handful of vaccines. Today, a child following the recommended vaccine schedule will receive up to 70 shots by the time they turn 18, including 27 before he or she turns 2, and as many as 6 shots in a single visit. Are all these shots producing healthier kids? According to the data, no. Are we allowed to even ask? Also, no.
I'll handle this one. Yes, they are. And you are allowed to ask. Everything's fine. Carry on.
Some parents who've asked too many questions about the recommended vaccine schedule can find themselves reported to Child Protection Services. Or they will get kicked out of their pediatrician's office for not being compliant. This is America, the land of the free. Parents are being held hostage. They did not sign up to co-parent with the government. We want a divorce.
Good speech, good punchline. Divorce, people love that kind of thing. Also, I like watching the unfolding of the slow pressure of a standing ovation. You know, if you're out at an event and like someone near you does a standing ovation, we're doing a standing ovation. By the end, even the people participating in the round table, Bobby Kennedy, it looks like we're doing a standing ovation. Got to do a standing ovation. But, you know, it does warrant one. I don't remember inviting the state to intervene when it comes to matters tending to my family regarding my intellectual and ideological perspective. The state seems pretty determined to replace God while telling you that there is no such thing as God, or at least when it's convenient to tell you that. Certainly it seems like a pretty godless way to run a country and indeed a planet. You know we can't continue to provide this content without the participation of our partners and sponsors. Here's a message from one of them now. Senolytics are the biggest discovery for promoting healthy aging. The aging process obviously isn't our friend, unless I suppose, you know, there's eternal life. But while we're here, we want to be energetic and productive. That's why I use Qualia Senolytic with science-backed ingredients that have helped me feel, I would say, 15 years younger in a matter of just months. Everyone accumulates senescent cells, known as zombie cells. These senescent cells are old and worn out and not fulfilling a useful function for our health, but they take up space and nutrients from our healthy cells. Qualia Senolytic removes zombie cells and allow healthy cells to thrive. Resist aging at the cellular level. Try Qualia Senolytic. Go to QUALIA.com/brand for up to, get this, 50% off, and use the code BRAND at the checkout for an additional 15% off. Try it now. Qualia Senolytic is also available at select GNC locations near you. Take it. Just 2 days a month. There's a link in the description. Who don't want to feel 15 years younger and get rid of them zombie cells? Now, if you're watching us anywhere other than Rumble, you're going to have to click the link in the description right now. That's why that banner's appearing at the bottom of the screen to tell you that you've only got a matter of seconds left. And you are not going to want to miss this conversation. Let me tell you, we've got some fantastic stuff. I'm most excited to tell you about how Bill Gates is managing the free speech conversation, telling you that what you're discussing is crazy stuff. He knows better than you. We're seeing now that Telegram have changed their terms and conditions to allow them to give the government additional information. And we're watching a lovely Biden pro-Zelensky, pro-war speech. Click the link in the description.